네, 지금부터 강연회를 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 안녕하십니까. 저는 오늘 강연회의 사회를 맡은 국립중앙박물관 전식과 학연구관 이진민입니다. 반갑습니다. 오늘 정말 많은 분들이 와주셨는데요. 강연자인 관장님께서 앉아 계시다가 자리를 비켜드릴 만큼 정말 이례적으로 정말 많은 분들이 오셨습니다. 그래서 정말 이 전시에 대해서 그리고 이 강연에 대해서 많은 분들이 정말 많은 관심을 갖고 있구나 다시 한번 느끼게 되는 그런 자리인 것 같습니다. 정말 감사하다는 말씀 드립니다. 이번 강연회는 현재 국립중앙박물관에서 진행 중인 특별전 비엔나 1900 꿈꾸는 예술가들의 연계 강연회입니다. 이번 전시는 레오폴트 미술관과 공동으로 기획했습니다. 레오폴트 미술관은 여러분들이 잘 알고 있는 클림트 그리고 에곤 실레뿐만 아니라 1900년 전후 비엔나 모더니즘의 정수를 잘 보여주고 있는 오스트리아의 아주 대표적인 미술관 중 하나입니다. 오늘은 한스페터 비플링어 관장님께서 직접 레오폴트 미술관의 설립 과정 그리고 대표 주요 전시품들의 이야기를 들려드리는 시간을 갖도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 원활한 강연을 위해서 혹시 지금 핸드폰을 음으로 설정해 주신 분이 계시다면 무음이나 진동으로 설정을 해주셨으면 좋겠고요. 그리고 초상권 문제가 있기 때문에 동영상 촬영은 삼가해 주시기 바랍니다. 오늘 강연회는 순차 통역 그리고 질의응답을 포함하여 2시간가량 진행이 되도록 하겠습니다. 그리고 먼저 강연자인 한스페터 비플링어 관장님에 대해서 제가 간략하게 먼저 소개해 드리겠습니다. 관장님은 대학교에서 미술사, 연극학, 저널리즘, 커뮤니케이션 학을 전공하였고요. 이후 오스트리아 린츠 현대미술센터, 뉴욕 신현대미술관, 비엔나 국제영화제 등에서 다양한 경력을 쌓았습니다. 2003년도부터 2007년까지 독일 바이에른 파사오에 있는 현대미술관에서 관장을 역임했고요. 2009년부터 15년까지는 오스트리아 크렘스에 있는 현대미술관 쿠스트 할레에서 관장을 맡아 다수의 전시를 개최하셨습니다. 레오폴트 미술관에서는 2015년부터 현재까지 관장직을 맡고 계신데요. 비엔나 1900이라는 상설 전시를 재구성하고 에곤 실레, 리하르트 게르스틀, 그리고 막스 오펜하이머 등 다수의 특별 전시를 개최하여 굉장히 큰 성과를 거두었고 현재도 거두고 계십니다. 그럼 이쯤에 소개를 마치고 강연자인 한스페터 비플링어 관장님을 모시고 강연을 청해 듣도록 하겠습니다. 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
So hello, a very warm welcome also from my side, and thank you very much for this introduction words, and hello again to all the wonderful people from the team of the National Museum. It makes really great fun to organize and realize this exhibition with you. So I would like to start to tell a little bit also about the history of the Leopold Museum and how this tremendous collection come together. The Leopold Museum is one of the youngest museum institutions in Austria. Normally in Austria, the museums like the Kunsthistorisches Museum, which you know from an exhibition in the house in the museum 2 years ago, normally they are between 100 and 200 years old. The Leopold Museum is quite new in the museum landscape. We opened to the public in 2001. And most of the Austrian museums are state museums. The Leopold Museum is a private foundation. So we are founded in a collaboration between the state and the private family of Leopold. But the history goes back in the 1950s when the young student of medicine, Rudolf Leopold, started collecting art. First, he bought some works from the 19th century, but also in the year 1950, he found his first painting done by Egon Schiele. You must imagine that at that time, 1950, Egon Schiele and all the other artists was not the superstars in the art market, in the art scene, like let's say the last 30 years. So it was affordable for Rudolf Leopold to buy works by Egon Schiele at that time, and therefore it comes that at about 45 paintings are in our collection, at about 200 works on papers, drawing, gouaches and other works on papers, as well as 1,000 autographs, photographs, archive material. So along with this compilation of works by Egon Schiele, Rudolf Leopold also started to collect art of the period before the Schiele expressionist work. Means I'm talking about the Jugendstil, or the so-called Art Nouveau painters and artists from that time. So I'm talking about artists like Gustav Klimt, of course. We have 9 works by Klimt in this exhibition. I'm talking about Richard Gerstl, the first Austrian expressionist, Coleman Moser, secessionist artist, Josef Hoffmann, and many others. So this medicine student, Rudolf Leopold, started to organize exhibition all over the world in the 1960s, and therefore he is also very responsible for the famous status of Egon Schiele. So for instance, he did shows in London, in New York, in Tokyo, in Zurich, in Brussels, and last but not least in Paris. And this was, I think, an important reason why the Austrian Expressionism got famous. And why it comes to this museum, because Rudolf Leopold collected until the 1990s at about 5,500 art pieces, and he stored it in his private house, and you can imagine it's quite crowded to live with 5,500 art pieces, and he tried to find a solution, and the politicians at that time were very open to discuss a solution. So in a system of a private-public partnership, the state of Austria, of the Republic of Austria, and the family make this construction of a foundation. The state built this museum, I can show you, which is in the city center of Vienna. We have at about 5,500 square meters. So you just can see half of the building. The other part is under the earth. And since 2001, we are doing shows. We are presenting on 3 floors a permanent presentation, and we're doing between 6 and 8 special exhibitions every year. And I'm very, very happy that now in the first time we can present 191 pieces from our collection here in Seoul, which makes me feel really happy. And I think we put together a really representative part of our collection to introduce you the Vienna Secession and the Austrian Expressionism. So next I would like to give you a feeling about the life at that time in Vienna around 1900. So Vienna at that time was characterized by numerous contrasts, I would say. So we are still in the period of the Austrian-Hungary monarchy, with a lot of high nobility people and also liberal intellectuals. So this is one of the contrasts. Another contrast is that Vienna at that time was bigger than nowadays. So at that time we had more than 2 million people living in Vienna. Some of them are really rich, I could say, and others have to live in slums. So the Imperial Kaiser Franz Joseph opened the borders within the dynasty, and a lot of people come to Vienna from all different parts, from Bohemia, from Czechoslovakia, from Galicia, from Slovenia, and a lot of the companies built up their headquarters. So this is kind of this differences between rich people and poor people at the time, and also between conservative orientated people on the one hand and innovative forces, intellectual artists on the other hand. So this melting pot, Vienna, was dominated by splendor and misery, by dream and, on the other side, reality, by symbolism and by realism. Vienna was a laboratory at that time for all different movements. And the artists played an important role in this transformation or in this period of Vienna. Not only define artists, but also the different fields. For instance, in the field of literature, Arthur Schnitzler or Hugo von Hofmannsthal was important. In the theater context, Max Reinhardt, the founder of the Salzburg Festspiele, was important. To talk about musicians, Arnold Schönberg, for instance, Gustav Mahler, all these prominent musicians was important. And last but not least, also in the architectural field, Adolf Loos, Joseph Hoffmann and Otto Wagner was important for this period. So it was the idea of the museum and from our side, from the Leopold Museum, that we continue in a way after this Habsburg exhibition, which ended in the 19th century. And we start in the end of the 19th century at about 1880 with the first pieces, for instance, by Gustav Klimt. So we are deeply in the period of historism, and please follow me to show you this transformation to the avant-garde of Vienna. So in the art field at that time, most of the artists was part of the Wiener Künstlerhaus, which was a exhibition building like the Secession, but they were very conservative, and Schiele and his progressive friends decided to separate from them and built their own exhibition building, and so it starts in a way the new time of avant-garde in Vienna. And what was very important for Gustav Klimt and the other artists like Roller or Hoffmann was the idea of the so-called Gesamtkunstwerk, which means the total work of art. So not only painting and drawing was in the focus, but also the applied art. So the everyday life should be designed with aesthetic objects, with ware table, with glassware, with furniture, with textile products. All you can imagine was now part of the art production. And beside the presidentship of Gustav Klimt, which started in 1897, he also was surrounded by artists like Koloman Moos and Joseph Hoffmann, who share this idea of the Gesamtkunstwerk, and they founded in the year 1903 the so-called Vienna Workshop, the Vienna Werkstätte, which is also very important for our kind of presentation in the museum. So it was this break in 1897 from historicism to avant-garde art, and the everyday life which was fulfilled with these beautiful things. And you remember all these wonderful portraits from Gustav Klimt and other artists where the ladies are dressed in beautiful dresses, and the people are sitting in the cafe shops and discuss different themes, and it was a different way of life. But after, let's say, at about 10 years, there was the next change. And it's funny that especially Gustav Klimt, who was a strong supporter of the next generation of artists like Schiele, like Kokoschka, like Oppenheimer, that these young artists finalized the period of secessionism or Art Nouveau. Tell you why. So afterwards I will show you some pictures of the artist, and you will see that in the year 1908 and 9, all these wild boys like Kokoschka and Schiele was at the beginning also in this, working in this secessionist style. But at about 1909 and 10, they changed. Why? Because the crisis of the modern subject comes up. And therefore, I think I have to mention the psychologist, important person, Sigmund Freud, who wrote this book about the dreaming, die Traumdeutung, the definition of dream. And so it's not any longer the aspect of this hyper aesthetic surface. It turns to the inner searching of the human being. So the soul and the feelings and the fear and erotic aspects and all these aspects who really impressed the younger generation. So also all these younger artists like Schiele and Kokoschka was really, let's say, fans of Gustav Klimt, but they have to kill this version of art and they have to transform it. But to show you how they estimate Gustav Klimt, maybe the best example is a book Oskar Kokoschka named The Dreaming Boys. And this is also a reason, I think, why our colleagues here in Seoul choose this title for this exhibition, The Dreaming Artists. Kokoschka did this artistic book in the year 1908. So the new interest, the new path for the young artists was to investigate their identity, the polarity of Eros and Thanatos, the pleasure principle of the life in contrary to the themes which are more death-driven. So I better now switch to show you some pictures because time is fleeting. Yes, now. So this is definitely one of the most important early painting which we have in our collection. It's quite new in our collection and it's from the year 1886. Oh, sorry. 1886. Gustav Klimt created this oil painting with a mythological motive in the context of the theater. He planned it for the Wiener Burgtheater, the Viennese most famous theater, and he put it very high, nearly on the ceiling of this installation. We have the version, which is also in the exhibition, which is at about, not 2 meters, but nearly 2 meters. In the Burgtheater, he did it on 12 meters, a huge size. And Gustav Klimt started with decorating palaces in Vienna before he got more and more the artists who were doing landscape and portraits. So this was originally the start of Gustav Klimt, very, I would say, mythological orientated and a lot of allegories of the old Greek. And in the middle you can see a monument of Dionysus, who is also an important symbol for the theater. The next piece is done by Coleman Moser. Coleman Moser is a very special artist in the Secessionist group. He's one of the founders of the Secession, but he's also the founder of the Vienna Workshop, one of the founders. He was a painter, he was a manager for exhibitions, he was a curator for exhibitions. For instance, he curated the show with the Swiss painter Ferdinand Hodler. He was a designer, as you can see, and he did chairs design and glass works, and so he was really a universal talent of this group. And this work on paper, Coleman Moser did at the 60th anniversary of Imperial Franz Josef, which you can see on this post stamp. He did a series to commemorate this anniversary as the King of Austria. So this is one of our really most important masterpiece in our collection. It's the large poplar second done by Gustav Klimt, and is a very special one. He goes every year from 1900 to 1960 to the countryside in the summer to have kind of a summer freshness, summer holidays, at least for 2, mostly for 3 months. So, and let's have a closer look to this painting. We can see a very low horizon, and we also can see flowering meadow with different colors from brown to red to green dots. And this meadow is influenced or inspired, let's say inspired by Vincent van Gogh. So Gustav Klimt was very aware of what's going on in Europe, in the French art scene, and also in other, for instance, Belgium symbolistic directions or dimensions. But if we have a closer look to, for instance, the clouds, here, this very dramatic clouds, one can see also a sitting figure here. So there's also symbolism in this painting, and some art historians make an interpretation that he also was inspired by Edvard Munch, which makes sense as well. But of course, we are thinking about the work of Claude Monet. Gustav Klimt was in Paris and see works by Claude Monet, and especially this poplar is very interesting here. It looks like a trout, a fish, a trout. Mm-hmm. Yeah. One critic say with all these dots in different colors. You have to see it in the exhibition. Indeed, when you go very narrow to this painting, how many colors he used in this masterpiece. So have once again a look on this very impressionist orientated painting by Gustav Klimt. Even it's one of the most dramatic landscapes he ever did. And compare it to this painting, which is also in the show, from 1898, this girl with a hat, which is also one of the posters for this exhibition. So there are 4 or 5 years between these both paintings, and you see the difference where you go more and more into the direction of impressionism. Sorry. Another co-founder of the Vienna Secession is the artist who made this poster, Alfred Roller. Lots of the artists are doing posters to promote their exhibition in the Secession. And this is a very flat stylization of a poster with different ornament, abstraction, and with a combination of the text, which is informing us as a viewer what's going on in such an exhibition. So now I will show you some more works by Coleman Moser. For instance, this wonderful vase he did in 1900. You can see there a lot of ornaments, floral ornaments as well. The Wiener Werkstätte which was founded in 1903, produced a lot, but not in their own workshops, but they produced the glasses mainly in Bohemia. They gave them their design, their drawings, and they produced it in the glass factory. So a very nice vegetal form, a high colorful decor, very fragile. We are happy that that we have this object here now in the exhibition. So some more ceramic works by an artist which was also part of the Vienna workshop. Before, by the way, there was a Viennese art school where a lot of women was also allowed to study there, because at the Academy of Fine Arts in Vienna, women are allowed to study there from 1980 on, not before, but the Viennese art school, there are a lot of innovative women artists who produced applied art, like this wonderful piece by Jutta Silke and in collaboration with Coleman Moser. There is Coleman Moser and Josef Hoffmann had a very good network to artists. Why? Because both of them started as professor at the Wiener Kunstschule in 1899, and a lot of them are also worked then afterwards for the Vienna workshop. So I show you some chairs also for Coleman Moser, and this wonderful bread basket, silver object. Moser was indeed the first artist who designed an object with typical square pattern in the year 1904. And Josef Hoffmann then made, let's say, copies or reproduced also and used also this kind of square-orientated patterns. The square was, in the period of secession, very important. Remember the paintings, it often was painted on a canvas, on a squared canvas. So the fact is also that not a lot of people can afford such silver bread basket, and therefore Hoffmann and Coleman Moser also produced these pieces with the same design in an iron version, and they painted also white, and therefore they can sell it to a broader audience. This is a piece done by the architect Otto Prutscher. I have to say that lots of the architects also designed furniture, also designed glasses, also designed not only houses, let's say. And he created this delicate object of glass art in the year at about 1907. It's a very fragile drinking glass, a colored crystal glass, which is also part of our exhibition. So, and this is also a very important figure in the Austrian art scene. Richard Gerstl, I tell you a little bit about his biography. He studied at the Academy of Fine Arts in Vienna and had the same teacher like Egon Schiele. Krippenkerl is the name. And he was very fed up about this teaching, and let's say he go away from the university very early, like Schiele, by the way, and other artists. Richard Gerstl was not only interested in painting, he was more interested in music. He wrote about music. He comes from a very wealthy family in Vienna. He had one apartment where he's just studying different languages and reading books, another apartment, a studio where he's painting, he did his painting, but most of the time he loved to go to concerts. And what is also remarkable is that Richard Gerstl just once in a life presented one painting to the audience, so he mainly painted for himself. And there was this composer Arnold Schönberg, which was in the year 1905 and 6 not successful. And Schönberg asked the young student Gerstl if he learned him to paint, because Schönberg was had a very good network in Vienna, knows a lot of prominent people, and he thought he can earn a little money in making portraits of these people. And Gerstl learned him to paint. And they got friends, and of course he was then also part of the Schönberg family, Richard Gerstl, and with him other musicians, composers like Alban Berg or Zemlinsky was part of this group. And then it happens that Richard Gerstl, the young student, fall in love with Madame Schönberg, which was quite a catastrophe. And the last short remark before I come back to this painting, Schönberg realized this in the year 1907 and said, okay, my friend Richard, stop it or we will have a problem. Obviously he stopped it, but in the next year at the summer holiday he found them together again, and then they separated their friendship. And Gerstl was excluded from this musician-composer group, and he was very sad about this situation. And during a very important concert of Schönberg, he committed suicide. Richard Gerstl was 26 years old. He ended his life. So back to this painting, this semi-nude self-portrait. He depicts himself in a very frontal view. As you can see, the background is blue, with a white lawn cord around his body. The upper body is, as you can see, naked, and he's surrounded around the head with a kind of a lighted blue color, which gives him a very special aura. The face, as you can see, is very realistic, naturalistic in the painting, and the rest of the body is going more and more in the direction of abstraction. So Gerstl presents himself here as a symbolist artist. He also quotes elements of Christian iconography. So it's in a way the man of sorrow, the man of Jesus Christ, who probably is in a stadium of resurrection. So Richard Gerstl, as you also can see in the exhibition, changed his style within 6 years from a symbolist painter to a post-impressionist painter. We have wonderful examples also in the show, to the first Austrian expressionist artist. And this is a wonderful landscape which express his expressive style very, very well, with vehement brushstrokes and shades of gray and blue, very gestical orientated. He did this 1 year before he died in the summer 1907. And the reason why nobody knows about Richard Gerstl was because he didn't show up his work. So also Schiele and Kokoschka have no idea what's going on in the small studio of Richard Gerstl. And once again, this is from 1907, this is from 1908. So when Richard Gerstl was complete in the style of expressionism, Kokoschka, Schiele and the others were still in a secessionist style. So Egon Schiele once mentioned in 1909-10, I have to go through Klimt to find myself. And this is the going through Klimt. This is going through the style of Gustav Klimt in the very beginning, before Schiele also drive to expressionism. And this is a typical Klimt-orientated Schiele painting, very flat, very orientated to, let's say, Chinese, Japanese, Asia style. There was a show in the Secession 1900 about Japanese artists, and a lot of artists was influenced, so it was very fashionable, this Asian-orientated decorative style, and also it fascinates Egon Schiele, as you can see. So another piece, painting by Coleman Moser, flower painting from 1909, and then in 1910 and 11, Schiele get this very famous international expressionist style. So it's a self-portrait, we can see, executed with, once again, really rapid brush strokes. He worked without an underdrawing, by the way, and he presents himself as a lyric. So Egon Schiele is also a writer. He is writing poems, very expressionist poems. And as you can see, he shows his body in a quite unrealistic, unnaturalistic style. The head is surrounded by a white color, which seems that he wants to show it's kind of a priest, kind of a saint. He feels himself, he wrote this in his poems, as a priest who have to change the society, as an artist to get a better world, things like this. So it's a kind of a nimbus he is demonstrating here. He shows himself in a quite set, not only position, but also the face is quite sad or skeptical looking. Some of the parts of the body are naked, as you can see. He uses the typical square format size from the Secessionists, and it's one of these really masterpieces from our collection, which also express the crisis of the human being, the crisis of the subject. Not so extremely distorted like this painting is the next one, but it's also playing with the theme of the crisis of the individual person. So Egon Schiele is the artist, not anyone of the colleagues have ever painted and drawn such a lot of self-portraits. We are talking about at least 300 self-portraits he did at that time. So he explored the depiction of his own face, his own body, always and always again. He is searching for his personality. And so in this portrait, we are not quite sure what the feeling of Egon Schiele is here in the self-portrait. On the one hand, it's a kind of fragility, but it could be also self-confidence, maybe. He's looking at us as viewer, but he's looking also inside his own identity. So it's quite a lot of contrast in this painting, but the composition is very strongly in a balance. So beside this opposition, so we have this black passage like the hairs and this body part. Both are cutted, so it's a sign for fragmentation of a human being. We have this correspondence between these red dots of the plant with the mouse, and if you go into the show and see their eyes, there are also here red dots. So it's a very good correspondence between the colors, and it's a perfect play between horizon lines or diagonal lines and vertical lines as well. So he's really a master in the composition, and yeah, it's an absolute one of the most famous pieces in our collection, and I think it's a once-in-a-life chance to see it here in Seoul. So, as I mentioned, Egon Schiele left the university, stopped studying as a painter, and began to manage, together with some friends, organizing exhibitions. The group was named the so-called Neukunstgruppe, a new group of artists, and this one colleague is one of these artists, but others are, for instance, Feisler. We have also a painting by these artists in the exhibition as well. So they organized exhibitions in Prague, for instance, in Budapest, and not least also in Vienna. So, and this is a poster by Oskar Kokoschka. As you can see, it's also the Christian iconography we can see here with the wounded body, and kind of an ex homo, a man of sorrow, stigmatized Oskar Kokoschka always as one of the wildest boy of the Viennese artists. And also, like Egon Schiele, he also was a writer. He writing theater pieces, small performance, text, and so on. He did this in the year 1911 for a literature and music association, where he had to argument how his thinkings are about art. So, and here, this is one of the two paintings we included in the show. It's a portrait of Hermann Schwarzwald. He was a director of a bank, and he was Jewish, he was jurist, and he was portrayed by Kokoschka. By the way, he was the husband of Emilie Schwarzwald. She was the founder of the first women's school in Vienna, and at that school a lot of artists also teach, for instance, Oskar Kokoschka or Adolf Loos. And Adolf Loos was a close friend of Kokoschka. He recommended him to make, Loos recommend Kokoschka to make portraits of popular person in Vienna to earn money, but nearly nobody wanted to see like Kokoschka portrayed them. So he cannot sell the portrait of this famous person. And this painting is very strongly dominated by wild brushstrokes, as you can see, and what is most important is the face of Mr. Schwarzwald and the hands. So these both parties emphasize the depicted hands and the face, and it's the most expressive part of a body. Kokoschka was convinced. So this is one of, if not the most important painting by Max Oppenheimer. It's a self-portrait. He did it in the year 1911. Oppenheimer was a close friend to Egon Schiele. They shared their studio in the year 1910 for several months. And it was Oppenheimer who inspired Egon Schiele's typical game with the hands. Oppenheimer was 5 years older than Schiele, and for Schiele, Oppenheimer was really, really important. So it shows Max Oppenheimer very well dressed, with a men's suit with a tie, with a white shirt, but with a tactful gaze, I would say, in a very special style, which we probably remember to the work of Albrecht Dürer. He did in 1500, Dürer. Not in this self-confident with Dürer, but in suffering position, so in a painful, skeptical position. This hand, you can see, is very strongly influenced by El Greco, for instance. The shoulders are deformated, so it's a very important and interesting painting. And I also want to tell you that this painting was presented by Oppenheimer's exhibition between 1911 in Munich, in Zurich, in Berlin, and also in Vienna several times. So also for Oppenheimer was this painting very important. And then it was lost. The last presentation was in the year 1913. So then more than 115 years it was lost, and it came on the market last year, and we are very happy that we can buy it for our collection, because all the experts of Oppenheimer thought it was destroyed in the First or in the Second World War. No, it's still alive, and you can see it in this exhibition. So I'm so happy that this new acquisition is now in our collection, that I also put it on my business card. Always had this painting with me. So this is a photograph an artist named Anton Josef Tritschke made from Egon Schiele. And you see more than all other artists, more than most other artists, Egon Schiele explodes the gesture and also the facial expression, not only in the drawings and in the paintings, but also in his photographs. And this is quite typical, and it looks so contemporary. If you think how nowadays we are presenting ourselves when we are doing a selfie in this different gesture. So he was, let's say, the first selfie guy in the world 100 years before a cell phone existing. So we can see all these poses not only in the drawings and the paintings, but also in the photographs. So finally I want to show you two drawings, one by Egon Schiele, this one, and another one by Gustav Klimt. And you see the aspect of sexuality and erotism was very important also for the expressionist artists to find out more about what sexuality means. And Schiele did it also in huge paintings. We have two of them in the last room of the exhibition. And I have to say that the naked body was not very special for Schiele. It was total normal. So to find out more about the identity of the people, it was also important to get to know their own body and the other body, the body of the people surrounding the artists. And there is a certain difference between the drawings of Egon Schiele and the drawings of Gustav Klimt. In Schiele's portraits, not in this, but in most of the drawings, the women figure is directly viewing at us, not in the drawings of Gustav Klimt. For Gustav Klimt, it's more important to that the women look somewhere in another direction. So it's a question of representation of a woman individual, and both are quite different. So Klimt is more, let's say, voyeuristic, and Schiele is more presenting the strong power of women. And as you can see in both of these drawings, there's quite a high tendency to abstraction. So the body is not any longer kind of naturalistic how they depict them. It's quite a modern abstract style. Okay. I think I have to come to an end. And the end comes for all these artists in the year 1980. It was in February 1980 when Gustav Klimt died, and Egon Schiele was the natural follower of the master Klimt, as the painter, the master painter of Vienna. And he had an exhibition, which is also, in a way, in this show by a poster. He had an exhibition, the Secession, and Schiele was very successful, sold a lot of paintings, and everybody said, okay, this is the legal follower of Gustav Klimt. But there was this Spanish flu also in Europe, and the wife of Egon Schiele, Edith, was pregnant in the 6th month, I think it was 6 months, and both or all three, the unborn children, Egon and Edith, died within 3 days. So he once mentioned before he died, the war is over once, and I have to go. But one day, my paintings will be presented in the museums all over the world, and yes, also here in Seoul. Thank you so much.
네, 단장님의 강연으로 레오폴트 미술관에 대해서 그리고 주요 소장품들에 대해서 정말 풍성한 얘기들을 들어볼 수 있었는데요. 오늘 소개해주신 PPT를 보면서 설명해주신 모든 작품들이 다 한국에 와 있습니다. 그래서 저희 꿈꾸는 예술가들, 비엔나 1900 꿈꾸는 예술가들 전시장에서 직접 작품들을 꼭 만나보시길 바랍니다.